So we are about to start the much awaited technical sessions to know about how do we save water and use it more wisely. Now may I request Mr. N.K. Ranganath to moderate with his opening remarks and then invite all the four speakers. May I invite all the speakers to join us on the dais, please. Mr. Lakshmanan, Mr. Matthew, Mr. Jagdish, Mr. Girish. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anand. We have one more, Mr. Jagdish Balram, anyway. So we'll start anyway.
Mr. Jagdish?
Yeah, come on, no problem. So anyway, again, it's not yet noon, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just sort of first welcome Matthew, Jagdish Balram, Lakshmanan and Girish Vishwanathan. Matthew is the Senior Manager Projects and Larry Instrumentation Valves, and Jagdish Balram is the Director for the Groundwater Company. And Lakshmanan is the Director of Clar Aqua, and Girish Vishwanathan is Director Technical Earthonomic Engineers. Wow, that's an interesting name, Earthonomic. Okay. Having said that, just to add to what I told you this morning, when you look at water, we need to look at it holistically and to remedy what situation we are in. And just to put the point very clearly, if you start remedying today, it might take 30 years from now to get back to where we want to be. It's a long process, so the process is long. So to remedy it, we need to have 3 tracks, short, medium, and long term. And all these tracks have to run parallelly. What we are discussing today as technology to me is short term. Very, very important to immediately stop the deterioration on its tracks and go back and reverse the trend. We need technology, and it could be wastewater recycling, it could be what you call seawater to drinking water, RO systems. It could be reduction of water in processes. All these are short term. Then the medium term ones are remediation of all our water bodies. We had plenty of water bodies. It takes a little longer to ensure that we rehabilitate and ensure that all our water bodies can conserve water when it rains. Mind you, we are about 4.5 billion cubic meters of water in terms of rain that falls upon India. We barely manage to use 1,000 cubic meters, 1,100 cubic meters, whatever. No, not 1,100. It's 4 billion. So I don't know how much that. 4 billion cubic meters. So 1 billion we use, and the rest is going out to the sea. So one way of conserving water and keeping it for this is to sort of hold it back. That to me is more medium term. And the long term ones is what we talk about in terms of linking up rivers. It's going to take many, many, many years to link all the rivers and the canals. And that effort should also go parallelly. All 3 should go on. Linking the rivers may take the next 35 years. We can't wait. So we need technology. Having said that, we will listen to these 4 gentlemen talk about technology. But at the cost of irritating them a bit, I think technology is the last layer when it comes to water conservation. Technology is not the solution. Technology is an enabler. The solution is in your heads. If you don't have a mindset change, irrespective of what technology these gentlemen tell you, you will waste water. How many of you see a water tap dripping and walk by without stopping it or without calling? How many of you? Please put your hands up. This is what we do. They can provide the best technology, but if you have a leaky tap or a leaky pipe, you're going to waste that water. And why are we wasting? We're wasting energy to clean the water and then waste the water. One of the issues that cities have is called NRW, non-revenue water. That's the leak and the theft that happens. And it's immeasurable. The best of cities may have about 6%, and in India, it varies between 22 and 50%, which means you extract water, you clean it, you pump it, and you waste it. So that's the situation. So the mindset change is very important. That we as people here say we will not accept this. And then comes technology. Because then we have the right mindset, and applying the right technology means we have a lot of savings. So with that, let me just hand over, because we are running short of time. I would call Matthew Verghese first. I will go in this order. So try to keep it as short as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be very short.
Yeah, good. And so that we have time for questions, because that would make it more interesting. And go ahead, Matthew. You want to talk here, talk there?
I have a presentation.
Go ahead then. Thanks.
Very good morning to all the ladies, gentlemen, my friends, colleagues, my fellow DIAS members. So I'll start off by saying I'm Matthew Verghese. So I am the technical marketing manager for a manufacturing company called Larry Valves. We are a valve manufacturing company and an automation solution provider, where we focus on water conservation, automizing the overhead tank controls. Generally, we have a mindset that when the overhead tank is overflowing, okay, then once we hear the sound of the water, that is when we go and off the pump. So all these are called passive wastages. We know, but we don't act much on it. So our company is also a beginner of many firsts. We are the first Indian company to bring in lead-free brass valves to the Indian market. First to bring in water hammer arresters to the Indian market. And we are also coming up with something called as a prepaid water meter. So I'll talk about that in the coming slides. So the topic given to me is water conservation and how to optimize and monitor the consumption. So I'll just start off by saying that water, we know every living organism in this planet, for it to survive, requires water. And that is why it is called the essence of life. In fact, when we are babies till we die, we always consume water. We never get bored of water. That is why it's called wonder liquid. We don't we get bored of continuously drinking any juice or something, but we never get bored drinking water. Now, this is a graphical representation of the amount of water available on the earth. 71%, if you see, is of earth surface is of water, but then if you can see, 97.5% is in the form of seawater, which we cannot use because it is and we have desalination plants, but will the desalination plant cope up to our demand? So that, as sir was saying, it is like a 30-year future plan which we have to look for. And the available fresh water is only 1%. The readily available fresh water in the form of lakes, rivers is only 1%, in which we have already polluted 75%. So that is something we'll have to think about. Now, this is the global scenario where people also speculate that the third world war is going to be on water. Countries not having water going to fight their way into countries who has enough water source. But let's hope and pray that we don't lead up into that stage. What is India's current stage? So this is a graphical representation which was made by the World Resource Institute, which if you can see, 54% of India is at high and extreme high water stress. Okay, even Prime Minister Modi in one of his speeches was saying that India is under tremendous water stress, and it is not the government's only action plan to resolve it, but it is a collective. We as a country, every user has to take steps so that we don't go into that tremendous stress. This is a slide which I'm going to talk about virtual water. We all know about virtual reality. So this is a relatively very new term as well. So this is basically I'll take an example of rice. Okay, to make 1 kg of rice, from cultivation to the end manufacturing process, we use almost 1700 liters of water for 1 kg of rice, and then which we export it to other states or other countries. So that water, even though they have not directly utilized it, but in the process of consuming that, they have already used 1700 liters. That is what is termed as virtual water. So you can see every agricultural or any food for that matter consumes a certain amount of water during their process. But these are unavoidable. As we all know, in India also, agriculture is still the largest income gainer for the GDP. And it is also the area where the largest amount of water is being used. So we'll have to come up with solutions in automizing, monitoring, and all these areas as well. Now this is the small funny illustration which I saw online. So in which this is all the day-to-day which everybody is aware of. We know that we'll have to close the tap when if it is open. We have to use aerators in the tap so that lesser flow water comes. We have to use water devices like your washing machine or dishwashers. We'll have to go for some energy efficient and less water consuming products. But in order to use all this, we need to know how much of water is being used. Okay, in order to save, we need to know how much we are saving. So that is where a manufacturer like us come into picture, where we'll give you automation solutions where you can monitor. We manufacture water meters, and we just don't just manufacture water meters and then supply. We also help in giving you solutions to automize these water meters. I'll give a small functional schematic of how that automation in a water meter works. So water meter, I'll just give a brief intro about water meter. It is just like your energy meters. The meters which we have installed in the house, which will tell you that you have used so much units of electricity, and you get billed accordingly. So water meter is a similar device, but it measures the amount of water being consumed. So in order to automize, what we do is a normal mechanical water meter, we use something called as a pulse wire, and we have a control box called as the Lahiri AMR. That since I am from Lahiri, I tell Lahiri. So it is basically automator meter reading, which is a Wi-Fi box. So whatever data is getting taken from the water meter, we are going to put it to the AMR, and the AMR is going to use a router, and it is going to give the data into a cloud storage. Okay, now if you name it, you want it in your smartwatch, you get the information in your smartwatch. You want it in your phone, you get it there. You want it in the form of mails, you get it there. The amount of water, as the previous days sir was also saying, that a person in abroad, he came to know, he informed the society that water is being consumed. So this is very useful in those scenarios. Not only that, and in industrial, there are charges for the amount of water being used. In residence, it is very minimal, and we don't actually feel. But as Ranganath sir also was saying that, it has to be billed, because we become more conscious when it is billed. Electricity bill, when it increases, we tell switch off the light, switch off the fan, everything, if you're not using it. Same thing has to be done for water. Only then that awareness starts to grow. This is a interface into our software. It's Lahiri Smart, where each user, now we talk about data security and everything. So each separate user is given a separate user ID password. So nobody will come into the picture. This is a project in Hyderabad which we did, which has 89 meters. You can see there is that same day's consumption, the monthly consumption, yearly consumption. You can take it into any form. You want it in pie chart, flow chart, anything is possible. All this, why I am saying, is because you need to know how much water you have consumed, so that tomorrow, even if you are saving water, you need to know that you have saved water. Without any proof, it is basically nothing. So if you can see this chart, on day one, the entire apartment used around 32,710 liters that day. In the next day, they reduced it by 1%. Then again, the demand went high, it grew up to 6%. And on the fourth day, drastically, the society took a decision that we have to monitor it. That is when they were able to save 33%. They were able to reduce the consumption by 33%. So it is going to be a collecting effort. You need data like this in order to monitor the consumption. And I was also talking about prepaid water meters, which we are going to launch pretty soon to the Indian market. So basically, it is like your SIM cards, prepaid SIM cards. You recharge your card, tap it on the water meter, and you get water for how much ever money is there in the card. The moment, then after that, again, if you want, you have to go recharge the card. So that is a new concept. It is already there abroad, but we are trying to bring it into the Indian market as well. Now, today is also the World Plumbing Day. We always, the plumber, we always tell the plumbers are charging too much and everything, but they are also water warriors. They are helping us in conserve water. If there is a leakage tap, they come fit it. So in one way or the other, they are also helping us in do something in conserving water, basically. And it is not just the plumbers, everybody in that industry, we are recognizing them on this particular day. And United Nations also has given a specific day called as the World Water Day, which is the 22nd of March. See, water is something which has to be conserved daily. It is not that, even though United Nations has given one day, we have to do conservation of water only that day. We have to do it on a daily basis. But they have taken steps to recognize the need, which is water. And the most important part is this pictorial representation, which I can show you, is that it is not just for us. It is not just for today's need. We have to think about 30 years down the line, 50 years down the line, where our future generation do not fight over it or don't have to go into tremendous stress for just having water. So let us all think about that as well. Now I'll also take this opportunity to do a bit of marketing of myself and the brand. So anybody who is interested to know more about this system or want to implement such a system, where and which company to be contacted. Special thanks to CII and the IGBC team for giving us this opportunity. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Now I would invite Mr. Jagdish Balram, Director, Groundwater Company, to show his presentation.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jagdish. So while he takes time to set up the system, right, everyone's spoken about, all of us understand how important, the water is, right? But all of you have the bottles in front of you, right? If I told you, given a choice between a sewage treated water of the highest specification and probably fresh water that is naturally coming to your table, you have two bottles in front of you. Which one would you prefer, is what my question to all of you is. Fresh water, right? So we trust nature to do the job much better than what we humans could do, because there are multiple links. Something can go wrong somewhere. So let's look at Chennai, correct? Chennai gets about 1,400 millimeters of rain. Each acre in Chennai can probably, this isn't working, that's fine. So each acre in Chennai can probably generate close to about 50 lakh liters of water. So do we have a water crisis, or do we have a water management issue? That's the question that I have for all of you. Water management, right? So 80% of India basically draws water from where? Groundwater, correct? Even if Kaveri doesn't come, any of the rivers don't basically come to the outskirts of the city or even the IT parks or commercial establishments. We draw the water from the groundwater. All of us do recharge. I'm assuming that as Chennai, as one of the pioneer cities, which started the initiative way back in 2003, we do the recharge. Today, all of us do the recharge. But still, we depend on tanker waters and OMR we all know how salty the water is, right? You have the fixtures and all these things rusting probably, and you have calcium deposits. So if you basically look at it, correct, do we all know the recharge that we are doing? So if each acre is generating 50 lakh liters of water, so multiply that by the area that you have, where is the water going? Is that water coming to me, my neighbor? That's fine, I can manage it. I just need to play the video. As long as the video plays, that should be fine, correct? So do we know where the water is going, the recharge that we are doing? Is that water coming to me? Is it going somewhere else? No one, runoff, right? Probably. So the so-called rainwater pits that we have created. See, one thing that is basically happened, and I want to show that to you. Instead of me talking about it, let me show you something very interesting. So I'm pretty good at engaging people, right? So let me just keep it that way. If somebody could help me out with this. So past 60 years, there's one thing that's changed. The way we leverage the land. Where 100 people live, today we have like probably 1,000 people living in the same mass of land. But the way we manage the water has literally not changed, which basically means even during those times, we basically used to have something called the rainwater harvesting pits. And even today, we have the same thing. When instead of 100 people, if 1,000 people are living in the same mass of land, does it make sense to basically follow the same principle and say that, we have a water crisis? Come on, I think the audience in Chennai is more engaging. Huh? So what I'm trying to tell you is when most of the water is going as a runoff, see, as a human being, let me give you an analogy. As a human being, we all have veins, right? If I basically want to if somebody's going to be giving me blood, does it make sense to poke anywhere in the body and basically pump in the blood? It won't reach me anywhere, right? Similarly, there are veins that Mother Earth also has, where the water needs to be sent, post-filtration, of course. So do we even map out things like that? In the name of aquifer mapping, today what is being done is a so-called resistivity method, which has its own limitations, which is a very old technology. What we are talking about is leveraging the power of geospatial to study a larger area and see the impact that the larger area basically has on your area. As Mr. Ranganathan was saying, that water is a shared resource, correct? So if water is a shared resource, is it not important for me basically to go ahead and identify where the water is coming from, where the water is going subsurface within the ground, and then basically plan the recharge? That's one of the important factors that we focus on. So do we have this? No? Okay. So let me just give you a brief of what we help you do, right, as an organization. How many of you have basically drilled borewells over here for water? Most of you? Do you have this anxiety when the drilling is happening? Water aa raha hai, nahi aa raha hai, varapoda, varada, enago, what is the yield that I'm going to get? Plus, it's a huge cost to you as an industry, as an individual, as an organization as well. What we help you achieve is, let me just give you another analogy, right? If I can just take this bottle with your permission. This bottle has value to me only because it can hold the water, correct? Similarly, we have aquifers within the Mother Earth that can hold the water, that can also leak the aquifer and send it to the neighboring locations. So any recharge that should be done in an aquifer that can hold the water, or should it be leaky in nature? Do we even identify that as a part of our so-called hydrological studies? Because if you do a study like that, mark my words for it, you'll not be doing that in a matter of 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. It's going to minimum take you about 50 days. And it's a very intensive affair, right? Post doing the study, if you implement it properly, right, do you think that will make sense? Correct? Because there are pockets within the earth that can hold crores of liters of water. So this is exactly what we help you do. So on an average, if let's say this aquifer, there are small pockets of aquifer, there are also regional aquifers that you have. Regional are very large, which can be found at the shallow layer, but at the deeper layer, you have some pockets of aquifers, small aquifers, which can also hold crores of liters of water. So let's say today the drilling that you're doing, this water bottle through a pipeline is connected to that water bottle. Nobody even knows. You drill here, you drill there also. But does it make sense for you to recharge this and extract the water from there? Are we doing it so scientifically? Are we putting this much of effort into something that Mother Nature has already given us? Are we leveraging that? That's what my question is. In fact, I had something very interesting to show to all of you, but systems always have some issues, so I'll just skip that. So second thing that we help you do, let me tell you one more important thing, right? We help you improve leveraging the technology, improve your water availability. I'm talking about not just any water, fresh, high quality drinking water by 800%. How do we do that? Based on this study, we have something known as an optimized well, which can collect lakhs of liters of water and then send it slowly into the Mother Earth over the span of next few days. So 800% is a huge number. So as I said, right, 50 lakh liters per acre, if you do the mathematics, there's no reason why we should be depending on the external agencies for fresh water. I can understand probably for potable water, non-potable water, but for potable water, there's no reason why we should be depending on, tankers and other things. We all know what sort of quality of water that they get. Second thing, what if you can also reduce the, how many of you have these issues in your house or in your organizations where there's salt water, or the water is very salty and high TDS? Everyone, right? It is a case in Bangalore, Hyderabad. As we go more deeper and deeper, this is a point that is, this is a problem that's only going to increase. So with this, you can also reduce the TDS levels by almost 40 to 50%, at the same time reduce the RO cost as well. So that's another thing. And of course, there are carbon savings, because you're wasting less. We all know how much of water that RO wastes, right? Almost 80% of the water gets rejected at times. So you can also, you have carbon savings, you have a lot of other things as well. Second, and not the second, I would say the other concluding note, the other thing is also flooding, right? We all know what climate change, all of us have heard of climate change. Since 2017-15, right, I'm sure all of us have seen climate change. Have you all seen climate change? What we heard as a term during our childhoods, today we are seeing the climate change. And what climate change looks like is not like temperature going up slowly. There's a slow change, and then suddenly there's a wild swing, correct? We will see that wild swing in the coming few years to a decade, probably, which means that your weather patterns are going to get highly erratic. There's going to be continuous rains followed by droughts, highly unpredictable. Not even the weather, forecasting systems will be able to predict it with an accuracy. So when we have all these things coming our way, does it make sense for us to basically go ahead and look at what resources that nature has already given us, leverage that, and also solve the flooding problem? See, what is flooding, right? Flooding is nothing but the water not being able to go, find an expression. Where it has to go, it's not able to go. Water follows the principle of gravity. So the water goes like this, and then it goes like this, sideways. So with this, you can also help that. With this, I'll also conclude my talk, but I'm open to questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jagdish. We'll take the questions after the end of all
Sure.
the speakers, so that.
I think that gentleman has one. So it's not a slide, it's a very interesting video that clearly gives you a view of what's inside Mother Earth, how it looks, something that nobody's seen so far. So Vivek, definitely.
Or you send a link if it's not.
So it's a
let
very
them try
heavy file.
now, huh?
It's a very heavy file.
Send only a link if it's on the cloud
It's not
to everybody. Otherwise, they let them try.
Or let's do one thing. Post this event right. If all of you can just wait for probably 2 minutes, it's a very 30-second video. I'll play it and show it to you. Something that none of you have seen so far. Yes, please. We'll do that. Post this.
That. Okay, thank you
so much.
Thank you, Jagdish. Mr. Lakshmanan, will you please give your...
Good afternoon, members and guests. On this occasion, I would like to thank the CII member for inaugurating us. This is Lakshman, Director and Founder of Claraqua Private Limited. We operate from Chennai as our head office, and we have branches across Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, Bhubaneswar, and Hyderabad. We are 20 years old company and completed more than 1,100 plus projects across India and globally. We are specialized in all types of water treatment plants and wastewater treatment plants, particularly zero liquid discharge plants. So far, we have provided treatment system to treat water approximately 1,200 million liters on a daily basis. We do a turnover of around 25 to 30 crores per annum. So today's topic is water reclamation. What is meant by water reclamation? It is nothing but wastewater to be treated and reused. Then why reclamation? for human existence. Water is a finite resource, essential for agriculture, used for industries, and it is used for social economic development of a place. Now let us see what are all the impurities present in the wastewater. It is classified into 4 types. First one is non-ionic or undissolved impurities, which consist of turbidity and suspended solids, color, taste, odor, organic matter, colloidal silica, and oilic substance. This is called as non-ionic or undissolved impurities. Second one is ionic or dissolved impurities. It is nothing but a combination of both cations and anions, that is positive ions and negative ions, which is also called as combination of calcium, magnesium, sulfates, chlorides, and so on. Then the gaseous impurities, which consist of hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and so on. Finally, the bacteriological impurities, which consist of protozoa, algae, virus, like. These are the 4 impurities which pollute the water, and it is called as wastewater. These impurities can be collectively measured in the form of biological oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand, total suspended solids, total dissolved solids, oil and grease, and pH. This can be measured in laboratory, or as well as it can be measured through online meters. There are 2 types of wastewater. One is domestic wastewater and other one is industrial wastewater. Now let us see how the now we will see how we will use the domestic wastewater and use the system. The wastewater generated from large residential buildings, commercial buildings, institutions, healthcare, IT park, and malls will be connected to a sewage treatment plant. Most successful method in the world is biological treatment, which is used in sewage treatment plant to treat the wastewater into eco-friendly water, which meets the standards prescribed by Central Pollution Control Board. The treated water from sewage is taken directly for gardening and irrigation. Further, this water can be treated and it can be reused for toilet flushing, where we can use around 35 to 40% of water which can be recycled on a daily basis. This water can further be treated by putting up a softener to reduce the hardness value, and it can be reused for cooling tower makeup water in software parks, hotels, and malls. On an average, we can use 40 to 60% of domestic water for our external usage. This is the wastewater which we can use it for domestic wastewater. You can see the photo where we can see that raw sewage and reclaimed water, that is treated water, which can be used for all the purposes. The treated sewage can be used for irrigation of gardens, sporting facilities, roadsides, cleanings, street cleaning, vehicle washing, toilet flushing, agriculture use, and cooling tower makeup. So how to treat and reuse industrial wastewater? By zero liquid discharge plant. Zero liquid discharge plant is nothing but not even a single drop of water should not be let out from the factory, and it should be reused with 100% inside the factory premises. That is called as zero liquid discharge. Assume that this is a factory where the wastewater is generated and it is connected to effluent treatment plant. It may be any type of industry. It may be automobile industry, leather industry, or textile industry. It may be any type of industry which is generating wastewater as an effluent. In effluent treatment plant, the treatment will be 3 types: physical, chemical, and biological treatment. Depending upon the characteristics of effluent, we treat the water, and then it is taken directly to ultrafiltration system, where we purify the water still, and then it is taken to multiple stages of RO plant. So in RO plant, normally we get lot of rejects, but when we are going for multiple RO systems, we get 80 to 90% of water which is recovered, and then it is reused for the process. This is the main advantage in zero liquid discharge. We get 80 to 90% of product water which is used for system. Balance 10 to 20% water will be taken to evaporator. Evaporator is nothing but to concentrate the liquid with a source of energy, like heating the water, so that the vapor comes out and it is taken as a product water with 80%, 80 to 80% recovery, which is also taken for process to reuse. Then the concentrate liquid from evaporator goes to ATFD. ATFD is nothing but agitated thin film dryer, where the concentrated liquid is converted as a salt as a final reject, which will be around 5%. Which will be around only 5%. So maximum on an average we can take around 90 to 95% of water can be recovered in 100%. This is the zero liquid discharge plant we have recently installed also. We have recently installed a plant in Panasonic where they are into manufacturing of home appliances manufacturing, where they do manufacture mixies, grinders, electric cookers. They generate an effluent of 1 lakh liters per day, and through effluent treatment plant we treat and get 93,000 liters as a product water and 7,000 as a slurry, which will be further treated to convert as a solid waste. This 93,000 liters is taken through ultrafiltration and RO plant, where we take 79,000 liters as a product water. That is, we take 85% recovery, and the RO reject is taken through evaporator and ATFT. We take around 14 kL. On an average, we take around 92.5 kL in 1 lakh liters concept. So daily they are reusing the water of 92.5 kL as a overall, and just they are going to spend only 7,500 liters as a top of water daily. So I'll just show you a photo video that we have installed. So this is the raw water produced from the industry, and the final reject water is around 3 to 4%. Final reject is, which is converted as a salt, is around 3 to 4%. So how to conclude? Water is an important commodity, essential thing in our day-to-day life. So conserve water, recycle the water so that we could give a better life for our future generation, and also for development of natural resources and environment. Create awareness with the help of organizations like CII and IGBC. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmanan. Now I invite Mr. Girish Vishwanathan, Director, Technical Earthonomic Engineers.
Okay, before the presentation starts, a very quick activity to kind of wake all of us up. How many of us are wearing a spectacle here? People with glasses, could you just do me a small favor? Could you remove your glasses, keep your mouth slightly widely open and blow into the glass? Mouth wide open, glasses close and blow into the glass. What do you see? So, as we speak, you are a working example of air-to-water generator. So what you have essentially done is generated water from the latent load that comes out of your body. So every time you breathe out, there's a certain amount of moisture that comes out. And the topic that we're going to discuss right now is not different at all. It's going to be the same thing. So what nature does in a really large scale, the demonstration that you have done right now by blowing into your glasses, you have done it in a really small scale. So this is a very quick introduction to what AWG is, air-to-water generators are. So essentially what happened, the temperature of air that comes out of your, when you blew out, is roughly around 35 to 36 degrees Celsius. The glass you have been wearing in this conditioned space is 24 degrees Celsius. So as soon as these two came in contact, there was a dew point that was available, and immediately the water vapor available in your breath has become condensed water. Now this is exactly what we are speaking in terms of AWG. So going forward, now this is not new to us. We take a look at this on a daily basis, right? Last 5 months, people of Chennai have been watching this. Every morning you wake up, what do you see on your car glass? Condensate water. Why? The atmospheric water coming in contact with a cold surface gets converted into condensate water. It happens on the leaf, the dewdrops all the time, on the turf, on the grass, on the lawn. Yes. One thing, I don't know how many of us have noticed, Chennai especially, for people who use air conditioners throughout the year, especially in the nights, our air conditioning systems reject water on a regular basis. Now this is at the rate of 1 liter per ton per hour. That is a kind of condensate water that is being rejected. And trust me, just like this bottled water, the expiry is not for the water, the expiry is for the bottle. Okay, so it's very similar. Condensate water is very similar. The expiry is not for the, the contamination is not for the water. The contamination is probably in the pathways and the storage mechanism that it takes. So if we have facilities to treat this water even to a very basic level, this is extremely useful water. There is no TDS in this. There is no dissolved content. At the most, there could be some contaminant which can be coming out of the hose pipe that connects it to the next source. In this case, as you can see, the outdoor unit of the split air conditioning system is connected to a bucket wherein water is collected, and this can be used for various purposes, car washing, water for your plants, so many ways. I'm talking at an individual home level. Okay. But before we get on to the applications and the future and the advancements in this particular technology, one thing that we need to understand is humidity is a key factor to generate water from air. So this is a snapshot that I took last night at 12:55 AM. You can see the temperature is 27 degrees Celsius, but what is very interesting here is the humidity percent, 81% humidity, which essentially means that for 1 cubic meter of air that we take, 81% of it has grains of water in it. Okay, so which we can remove and use, and which is happening naturally as well. How does it happen naturally? What is the most natural example for rain? That's right, precipitation. So once it goes to the higher level, the water content is so high and the temperature is so low that the dew point occurs and it comes down as a downpour. So that is the most simple example. So anywhere you have more than 30% humidity in the air, there is a possibility to extract water from it, as simple as that. So some examples over here. This is not new. On a daily basis, a lot of people have been using it from a small scale to a really large scale. To talk about small scales, a lot of homes today collect this water. In fact, even at our workplace, we use this water to maintain our indoor landscaping device. It is automatically connected, and every day we get about 8 to 10 liters of water, and this water is used to maintain our vertical landscaping, the vertical planter device. In community level, this can play a very, very, very huge role. Now think about an apartment complex that has about, let us say, 1,000 apartments, and each of it has a very basic 1 ton air conditioning system. Okay, 1,000 apartments, 1 ton air conditioning system will give us about 1,000 liters every hour. So overnight we are talking about anywhere between 8,000 to 10,000 liters of very, very, very pure water. Unfortunately, all this water is going down the drain right now. But what could we do with this? Think about the applications. You could use this to harvest it, send it back to your tank and consume it. In certain cases, if you have RO devices and you can dilute this water with the high TDS water, it can increase your membrane life, the output becomes better, the quality of water becomes better. In a lot of IT complexes wherein there is a combination of air-cooled and water-cooled system, the water coming out of the air-cooled system becomes a feed to the cooling tower. I think Olympia Tech Park, this is one of the examples where we still use this. The air-cooled chillers, the condensate water is coming out of it, goes into the water-cooled chillers as a makeup water. And this is also being used in places like Singapore, wherein they are able to maintain the cooling racks in data centers, almost at free of cost. If you can imagine, Chennai, if we are able to produce about 1 liter water every hour per TR, in Singapore, this goes up to 1.3 to 1.4, considering the all-round humidity around the year. Last but not the least, in a lot of these facilities, the condensate water that comes out of the AC comes out at around 13 to 14 degrees Celsius. So you can also directly use it for cooling applications like radiant cooling systems or cold storage systems. In certain cases, there are just copper pipes with fan coil units wherein the chillness of this is transferred to the room and it becomes a free cooling. So there are so many applications that are there. But all that it takes is now we need to consolidate the condensate water and it can be a great source of water production. Okay, so this we discussed. The most natural form of water generation is probably from the water cycle that the nature does itself, but there's a one key very important aspect that we need to take out of this. This water that comes out is really pure. The nature by itself is a very natural filtration system. So evaporated water, as I told you, does not contain any contaminants or TDS. It might be only in the device in which it is stored or the device in which it is transferred. So essentially, there's a lot of humidity in the air, and every time you extract it, the nature naturally replaces it. There's a component of evaporation that goes from the sea into the atmosphere. So atmosphere today has an estimated 12,900 cubic kilometers of fresh water, which is roughly 13 times what we have on Earth. Okay, so why not make use of this natural cycle? And when nature filters it automatically, all we need to do is use this responsibly and find out technologies that can help us optimize this. Right, so water scarcity, I think we have spoken enough about this today. The next world war could be based on water scarcity or potable water, so I don't want to dwell upon this a little more. But then, one important aspect that we can take away from this is that these devices are portable. They can be placed anywhere in the world. Wherever there's, as I told you, if the humidity is greater than 30%, it is good enough to generate water. So most rural spaces where they are not getting water, these devices can be incorporated along with, let us say, solar panels to generate water, to power them in case power is also an issue, and they can cater to their water requirements. Coming to the end of it, our AWG is worth it. Like any other new technology. We remembered how solar panels were about 10-15 years back, right? It was roughly around 2 lakh per kilowatt peak. Today it is trading at around 30,000 to 50,000 per kilowatt peak. LEDs. It was trading at around, a 20 watt LED tube light used to cost us around 1,500 rupees. What is the cost today? 250 rupees. So in the same way, these are technologies that are continuously emerging, continuously evolving. So as we go by, we are going to see the cost come down. Roughly, cost of a 1 liter AW generated water is around 10 to 12 rupees today. But with the kind of research that is going on right now, we could expect this value to come down to anywhere between 3 to 5 rupees in the next 4 to 5 years, which essentially ensures that everybody in the world would have access to clean water at any point in time. Finally, there are, some really powerful combinations, AWG plus RWH. Now, RWH is the most natural form of AWG. So, if you can capture that water along with generation. So, whenever it rains, you can imagine the humidity is roughly around 100%. So, there's a very good chance of generating a lot of water. And it is also in the rainy seasons that you see that many people fall sick because of water mixing with sewer waters and the tank getting contaminated and all that, but at least your drinking water requirement can be taken care of with these technologies. So these are certain advantages that we have. Again, scalability and stability of AWG is again very important, because no matter which part of the world you produce it in, the quality of water is going to remain the same. So imagine the amount of applications that we have in this particular technology. Now, certain real-time applications of this. The device that you see on the left-hand side is called a HLR, Heat Load Reduction Unit, wherein a lot of IT companies are filled with people, and just as you did some time back, blew into your glasses, you can imagine how many people, breathe into the AC rooms, correct? And the return air is filled with humidity. Now, there are companies who condense this return air, extract the humidity, convert that into drinking water on one side, and on the other side, you have pure air. The carbon dioxide content in the air is also removed using a scrubber that is present inside. So it serves two purposes. A, you get fresh air at 24 degrees Celsius because I've scrapped the CO2 out of it. I've also taken the humidity out of it. So it is back to 24 degrees, 60% humidity, and under permissible limits of CO2 or high oxygen content. So these kind of devices are coming into the market, which can significantly reduce the load of your AC. Now what you see on the right hand side is a poly house that's fitted with solar panel and also with certain cooling devices on top, just a cool plate on top, just enough to condense the water and send it into the planter bed that lies underneath. Okay, so without getting exposed to pollution or excessive heat, at the same time maintaining the right amount of humidity and carbon dioxide level required for the plant, you can do indoor farming as well, precision farming. So at the same time, you not only generate water, you store it and you ration it for the rest of the day, in certain cases even rest of the month. Okay, so Air-to-Water is here to stay. You're going to take a look at this technology for the next couple of decades, emerging in such a rapid manner that the cost is going to come down. And most importantly, it has a lot of social value in the sense that it is not going to be limited to people only in the urban sector. People who do not have access to good water in the interior segments now are going to have access to clean drinking water as well. So with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Girish.
Probably just one last terminology which I probably missed. Condensation across industries, across homes, across a lot of facilities till date was seen as an inconvenience. How to clean it, how to get rid of it. All of a sudden it gives us an opportunity. If we can direct it in the right way, if we can capture it, reuse it in a fine manner, we are talking about some really pure water that can serve a lot of people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I must also thank the speakers for really sort of saving time. I don't know if Jagdish has got his video going. You have? Oh, that's good. We'll see that before we take questions. Oh? Okay, I'll start taking questions, but if you can still get it going. Yeah, go ahead, please. And then there. And to whom? Yeah.
Yes, sir. When you evaporate the water, you said 5% residues is there.
Yes.
How it is disposed within the campus? When you talk of zero liquid disposal, it should not go out even at all.
That's what, sir.
Then how do you dispose of whether it is alkaline or it is acidity, we don't know.
It is a salt, sir. It is a salt. It will be stored in a gunny bags and it will be given to hazardous waste management agent. Right, sir.
There is no water left, it's only salt.
Only the salt. No, sir, no, sir. The TDS will be more. It will be beyond 1,50,000 liters. 1,50,000 TDS.
It also depends on the salt. In Tirupur, in the plants, they do reuse the salt a bit. But it depends on the salt. I mean, the ETPs are very different, unlike STPs. Sewage, to use words which may be a little unparliamentary, is the same shit. But, in ETPs it's very, very different. So you have to handle chemicals very differently. There's somebody there who was asking.
Yeah, I am Ravi from e-Cargolog, logistics supporter. Question to Mr. Lakshmanan. Can the treated water be potable also?
Yeah, definitely.
But what is the ppm level between treated water and fresh water?
Treated water in the sense, sir?
Treated water and in fresh water, ppm level.
Domestic water? Or
yes.
What? So in domestic water, we don't do like portable system. We have to go for RO systems.
Okay, thank you.
To make it portable.
But your question is very simple. What they get out of the RO system is completely free of every mineral. It's drinkable but not good for your health. They'll have to add some minerals back to it to make it potable water, but I'm sure it can be.
So according to Supreme Court order, we have to add calcium and magnesium in the outlet of RO plant.
Burning the coal, again it is giving carbon dioxide to the atmosphere.
We are not burning coal, sir. We will be using LPG assist.
LPG, whatever it is adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Then how does that cost comparison works out to?
See, that's what it will be costing around 3 rupees per liter, sir. If you are going for evaporator. As an overall, it will be costing around 60 paise per liter.
Anybody else with questions? I don't know if Jagdish has still got it. Still have a problem, Jagdish? Huh? 2 minutes. Some more questions. Come on. Okay, let me ask him a question. AWG plus RWH. Good.
Yes, sir.
But from what I see, I've been following this up for a long time, ever since it started. In fact, what we did in Grundfos, was when I was there, we collected the entire condensate and recycled it completely back into our treatment system. It comes back as drinking water after going through RO and all that. But having said that, when I started using AWGs, first of all, you hit the point. It was not commercially viable. You've answered that it might come down to 5 rupees a liter. That was one. Two, it required very large plants if there are number of people are too many. There was no space for those kind of plants. So this was the other issue that we faced. Three, we also thought if we could connect AWG plus RWH plus solar or wind, then you have a winner. So I don't know how you guys have seen it and what's going on in this area.
Two things, sir. The first part, the scalability. So now today we have technologies that have helped compress this system into a really small part. Now how they do this is they have started connecting these AWGs to weather sensors. So it finds out the optimized time for it to generate the water. Instead of running it at all times, so let us say that the humidity in the air is 30%, the system has to be so large so as to extract all the water, the surface area increases. But then if I start finding out times when the humidity is, let us say, upwards of 45 or 50% and target only that range, so I'm able to reduce the surface area and hence the size of the product itself. So that is a kind of innovation that is happening right now. The size of the system itself is coming down.
But your output will reduce because you're only running it for a short while.
Yes, but I also find out the most energy efficient times, which means whenever my humidity is really high, I spend lesser amount of power to extract the same amount of water.
One more question. This is again based on looking at this. Is there a way of using desiccants to get the water out and not only use AWGs as an assisted this thing for using desiccants?
Absolutely. So that is a kind of hybrid systems that we are seeing right now. So a lot of people from the HVAC segment would know about what is called as the ERV, the energy recovery ventilator, wherein it uses a desiccant to reduce the humidity coming out from the air that has been breathed into the system. So that is also being used to extract water today so as to make it more effective in certain areas.
And that water is clean. I mean, the desiccant is not giving any chemical to it.
No, so it does undergo some kind of a treatment before it becomes potable or consumable.
Because this would become the order of the day. In fact, instead of having RO plants in your homes, if you can get small plants which are running, and especially in a place like Chennai, you can sort of use it quite effectively. And even in other places, even if you are up in the hills, you can use the heat to heat up your rooms. But in a place like Chennai, if you can actually add a heat pump with this, you can heat the hot water. I mean, the cold water for a shower, which means you're saving power. So somewhere you guys have to make a change in the way AWG is looked at.
Yes, in fact, even in our place of work, we have a really small prototype wherein we are extracting the water from the aircon condensate. It comes out at 13 degrees Celsius. We have a copper pipe through which it circulates, and there's a fan behind this copper pipe. So for every 2 hours of operation of the air conditioning system, we get around 10 liters of water is what we have. And we circulate this through the copper pipe and have a fan at the back end, and this free cools the room for about 40-45 minutes.
So these are all options that one could think of. I'll come to you, Matthew. I asked you these questions. You have this nice kind of thing that measures. How much can you scale when people are so reluctant to even pay for any water?
So now most of the states it has become a mandate that all the new apartment complexes and the new industrial areas, everything, they have to go for a system such as this, or they have to put a meter at least.
Is that true, Ajit? That's what, because I've been involved.
No, you can check out it in Bangalore city where the government has...
Bangalore has had a history. When I was born there, we were metering.
Yeah.
And that was almost 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's a city with a bit of a history of metering. But then we look at India, not just Bangalore. No, very few cities are metering. So how are you going to actually change that mindset? It's all a mindset issue.
The water board of the central government actually has come out with these various schemes such as the Jal Suraksha, Jal Jeevan, wherein they tell that whether it is inter-district or interstate, everything has to be monitored. Okay, so all these places, even in fact, there's a project, it's in Madurai, where they are installing close to, if I'm not wrong, around 12,000 meters, which is getting distributed.
Madhya Pradesh is doing a good job. I've known, I've been.
Not Madhya Pradesh, I'm telling about
Madurai,
Madurai.
but
Yeah.
Madhya Pradesh is doing a better job. They're even metering water to the agriculturists.
Correct.
So you need to find champions in every state.
We are trying to approach all these government organizations as well, so that we can speak and then emphasize on implementing this as a mandate.
Any questions from anybody else? If you have thought of, yeah.
So, nature is the most natural filtration system. Whatever we remove from the atmosphere goes back and replenishes from the sea. So, it's a cycle that keeps happening. So, even if we take, let us say, extract a certain portion, the sea and the other sources of water are continuously going to keep replacing it. So, it has absolutely no impact. In fact, it has advantages. When water evaporates, it's not going to carry any of the contaminants. So, it's probably the most safest form of water.
Yeah. So I'm Venkateshwaran. I'm from working for International Maritime Organization, Norway Green Waves Project for decarbonizing the maritime sector. Okay, I'm basic background is from maritime sector. So basically, I think even this HVAC air which is going out, you can use a silica, alumina towers and where moisture can be absorbed. And this can be, normally we have this type of systems in the ships also, where we have a inert gas dryer plant actually, huge plants actually. So where we get this, but where we use this hot blower, 100 to 1000 watts blower to take it off. So that air will have this moisture and you can have a chiller unit and where you can extract this moisture. I think that is one of the ways. And also another thing, compressed air. So compressed air, 30 kg, when you bring down the pressure, there's a lot of water coming out from that actually. And also you have a dryer unit where the air is being used for instrumentation. So these are all the ways I think we can.
I didn't get your name.
Venkateshwaran, sir.
Venkateshwaran, the issue in a ship is different. The thing is, how do you get this water to a level that people can pay for? Currently, that's the problem they're facing. It's 10, 15 rupees at least the people this is a production cost. So when you sell, you can't sell 20 rupees a litre. That's where the problem is. The problem is how do you get it down to a level where it's 1 or 2 rupees a litre so that they can sell at 4 or 5 rupees a litre.
See, the water, the moisture which is absorbed in the towers, what we can, if you have cold energy available, that can be used to take it out in the plant.
There's somebody there.
It's definitely workable. It's definitely workable, but then it all boils down to where we are going to install the polyhouse. Now, if we start doing that in Chennai, we might. Definitely workable. I'm pretty sure in Hosur as well, you're facing about 6 months of extreme heat, wherein the temperature within your polyhouse goes upwards of 45, even up to 50 sometimes. So you might have a shading net or something that you pull up on demand to make sure that the heat doesn't come down. So in those cases, you will have to, so there are two ways in which you can do it. You might be using some kind of a heat extraction system wherein the output is water, so that can be a direct use. As you go slightly higher in altitude to places like Bangalore, Ooty, where there's a lot of these polyhouse farming that's happening, so in those cases, it becomes a direct use. You just make sure that you have a trough system that collects all this condensate water, takes it into a tank and then reuse it. Very additional cost, but if you compare it with the cost of procuring such pure water, I think the payback is very, very quick. And generally, this additional cost is limited to piping and storage, not more than that. You don't have any other active devices as such. A lot on Ooty has been done. Yes, Kotagiri, Ooty, wherever these micro farms growing lettuce, kale, all these places, the makeup water comes in from the condensate itself. And they're very happy to use it because they don't have to treat it. They directly send it into the system. No, anyway, that boils down to how much nutrition you add based on the plant and the plant bed. So it has nothing to do with it. That segregation happens at the circulation source.
Anybody else? Yeah, boss.
Just an information that I think under the Jal Shakti scheme of central government, I think we are having every house should be supplied with water. So every house has got a metering also. Especially I think it's already started in Coimbatore, E-Road, as Matthew said in Madurai. I think almost all the places and across India also government is planning to do this. Every house should have water connection.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because before I stop, because although we have him, Lakshman, one last question to you. Have you ever tried using waste heat for evaporators?
Waste?
Heat for evaporators. Instead of using a boiler and putting energy, like he said, either LPG or coal, there are a lot of sources of waste heat in any plant.
No, sir.
No, I think you should sort of look at it because you collect, today people are even collecting low-grade waste heat. Forget high-temperature waste heat. So
We use electricity and LPG.
yeah, but that's all expensive stuff. So if you can try using waste heat, possibly it would sort of make a huge difference. So we were not successful in putting his... okay, since I have to have one last question for you.
One observation, sir. When you say waste heat recovery, it is having a very low temperature.
Yeah.
So that means for recovering the heat, you may have to have large heating surface, and also cost will be much more higher than.
It depends on what you're doing, what you're recovering from. But today, there is a lot of focus on even recovering the low grade. That's why it said low temperature waste heat.
Quite true. But
So-
the overall thermal conductivity or the heat transfer coefficient will be very less. So you need more heat transfer area.
If your process has something like that, only then you can. See, waste heat, you don't start putting up things to create waste heat. Created waste heat, you're recovering from wherever it is. It could be low grade, it could be high grade, whatever it is. It could be just condensate coming from somewhere being used.
Okay, thank you.
Waste heat also, I think, even if it's of a low grade, if you're doing it in a vacuum condition, your boiling point comes down quite a bit.
Yeah, vacuum boiling
Yes.
is something that they
Because we do this in, we use the waste heat for generating fresh water on board the ships.
in ships. Yeah. The ship is totally different because you are...
So we have all the processes.
Yeah, you are there, you have to generate all the stuff yourself
Yes.
because you're in the middle of the sea.
Yes.
So, good. So, we were not successful in handling that. Now, just tell me how many people have started using it and who are the people who have started using it so that they can also get an idea of who would use this and how would you use this.
So a lot of realtors, industries have started using this. Primarily not just the new age realtors, but even the old timers who want to mitigate flood. At the same time, overcome seepage problems, right? I mean, a lot of buildings today have these issues where post handover, we have this water oozing from the basement. Additionally, from the sidewalls, instead of us doing the best waterproofing, plus mitigating floods as well. As I said, with climate change, the quantum of rain can increase suddenly, and with that, what happens to the excess water that comes to your, into your property? How do you manage that? If you want to avoid your Mercedes or probably the Swifts of the world being floating in the basement, right? If you want to avoid that, then you have to look at, doing something like this. So.
Thanks. Okay.
So in fact, just one thing I'll also say is, since we have had a technical issue, what I'll do is I'm available. My name is Jagdish. Please reach out to me if you want to have a look at the video. Pretty interesting one. Thank you.
Okay. Anand? Yeah. So...
It's a pretty large file. See, it's one of the client's video with permission. We can show it, but it's not shareable. So because of the NDA clause that we have with the client, because the sort of data that I'm talking about. So we are open to showing that to you. Probably we have the permissions to show it across, but not a publicly shareable thing. Otherwise, it would be on the YouTube by now. So we are available. Please feel free to reach out to us. Happy to showcase that to you.
Sure. Anyway, just as a wrap up, I've already asked him a lot of questions. So we are here today to look at how we can conserve water and leave behind something for generations to come. That's the only objective of this. You cannot make any new water. So each one of these people here have spoken about their technologies and how it helps. These are all parts of a jigsaw puzzle. The puzzle is much larger. And as stakeholders, I think we need to do our bit in our area of influence. I cannot ask you to go change somebody's government and say, okay, do this. But each of us has an area of influence which we can actually use our power of convincing the people around us to make that change. And that's all that we need to do, because as they say, little drops make an ocean. And it's a long process, and it's a continuous process, and the goalpost keeps changing. Because we are industrializing as a country, we are urbanizing as a country. We cannot deny the good life to the 60% of the population who are not sitting in hotels like these, but are sitting in very rural areas. So there is going to be a demand for water, there is going to be a demand for energy, there's going to be a demand for many, many things, which perhaps is a good thing as to why the rest of the world is attracted about India and they all want to jump in now. But having said that, do we go the China way and then spend billions and billions of dollars to correct it? Or do we learn today and be a little more proactive? The issue with us Indians, including me, we do best when our back is against a wall, all last minute. So could we make that little change and say, okay, let me think a little ahead and make that change? So over to you, Anand.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ranganath. So before I have a few minutes of your time, may I request you to put your hands together to give a big round of applause to Mr. Ranganath and all the four speakers. Who has shared the rich experience in terms of the entire overall theme, and then also they caught up on the time. That is the beauty about Mr. Ranganath actually. Though we started a bit late, he has taken the best essence out of all the four speakers. I have a very interactive session, as well as he summed it up very beautifully. So here I am coming from one of the recently we met in the World GBC, all the councils met, and then one of the brainstorming session was on happiness. So happiness and well-being was a very big topic, especially after the COVID. So many of the councils, they all had their own version of what do you mean by happiness, what do you mean by well-being. So finally, when the turn came to India, I took it only 1 minute, because our father of nations quote, Mr. Mahatma Gandhiji's quote unquote, it says about happiness. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony, unquote. I repeat it, happiness is when what you think, what you say, what you do are in harmony. So everybody appreciated that thought. Why I'm connecting it is, we started with Waterwise. So since morning, ever since our chairman, Mr. Ajit Chordia, started addressing the welcome address, the amazing stuff came up. How as an individual I should do, how as a dwelling unit from the Suresh Krishna from the Kadai owner, measure it, or the buyers, end users, what difference we can make it. Then we heard from Kirlosh Kumar saying that government initiatives, many things came to, at least I was hearing for the first time actually, say so many things happening in the city, because we always compare about Singapore. Singapore is only 625 square kilometers. Chennai is much bigger. If you add suburbs, it's much bigger than Chennai alone is much bigger. So this happiness definition applies here also. So you heard from Mr. N.K. Ranganath's final concluding words also, we are up against the wall. What I as an individual, whether we are not saying that this is good or that is bad or that is great, it could have a technical complication, investment, applicability, but solutions are available in abundance today. I as an individual, in order to make our own country water available in abundance, how do we provide water for every single individual? Again, I quote Mr. N.K. Ranganath, access. How do we single act? So when you follow the same happiness, so we all wanted to thinking that we have to give a better, greener planet full of water, clean water, not polluted water. Again, I take the clue from Mr. Ranganath, not polluted, clean water as per the WHO standards or whatever it is. So that is the thinking. This is what we are saying in many forums in CII, and what we are going to do from now on. It is not that we are all bad. We are last evening, the same day as we gave a lot of awards on amazing 1,400 members of CII doing a fabulous job on the agriculture, organic, on thousands of lakhs of acres of land in this pretty own Tamil Nadu. So we will do that. So again, that is number one. Number two, this hall, I have a very nostalgic impact on this very hall actually. We had we are talking about the water and the challenges and the opportunities. Similar challenge was there in the variable speed drives in 96 and 95. If you go to a company and say that you install a variable frequency drive, they say that it will create harmonics, it will not work in a place closer to the sea coast, we will not get this neutral, all the challenges were there. In this hall on 21st and 22nd of August 1998, this Mowbray's hall, only the orientation was different. We were all sitting on the other side, including me. We did the country's first conference on variable speed drives, be it AC drives, DC drives, variable fluid coupling, eddy current. So we did it along with the Ministry of Power. After that, now there are no direct online starters are not at all there. VFD is a very, it has become a common element in every single motor, whether you are closer to the sea coast or a cooling tower, fan, or you name anything. Even if it is not required also, it has become. So this hall, under the CII's aegis, we did a very beautiful seminar. So similarly, this Waterwise session led by Mr. Ajit and Mahesh and Mr. N.K. Ranganath and the entire Chennai chapter will be remembered for a very long time. Definitely, many of you may will be alive when India achieves a net zero carbon by 2070. You may quote this session also. So once again, the last one is, I would request you to put your hands to our own sponsors, Olympia, Clara Aqua, the Groundwater Company, and the Leggery Walls, which has seen the particular Waterwise activity much impactful. So with the supporters, we are able to put a great show. It is not this is not only a session which concludes with a lunch. It's a long journey. We in IGBC, with IGBC's objectives on providing a sustainable built environment, we are all available. So once again, on behalf of Mr. Ajit and Mr. Mahesh Anand, the chair and co-chair of IGBC Chennai chapter, we would request you to join us for the lunch. There we can see the Jagdish's video, much awaited video. He's holding it very close actually. So till 2:30, 3 o'clock, this hall is available. Jagdish, you can play it in every single table and we all will listen to that. Please join us for lunch and let us give a big round of applause for joining in the long numbers on a Saturday afternoon. Thank you once again. Can I request Ajit Sir and Mahesh also to join?